It's Coach Velia, and we are on day 6 of decluttering your home, and everything else that's cluttered up, right? Whatever it may be, whatever's calling to you for some attention. So today a topic came in, and I kept trying to avoid talking about this topic because it can be a third topic for some people. It is something that we tend to avoid. But it's kind of huge to come up, and I'm glad it did. I was going to talk about your pantry today. I kept trying to talk about that, but finances actually trumped whatever else I was thinking about bringing up. So my hesitation was because a lot of people think they know that, or think they actually believe that their finances are pretty organized and say, no, I know how much the bills are and I know how much I make and all that good stuff. But I think that if we kind of look at it from a different perspective and take it on more of like, I'm going to organize it instead of like, there's fear around it, or I know I'm doing something I'm not supposed to or whatever. So this is not to teach or to point the finger or to like attack anybody. Please, I come from a really good place. I promise you that this is something weird enough that even though I was trying to avoid, it comes up for everybody, all of my clients. And it's funny because I tell my clients, I don't know what it is. I mean, I know I carry abundance codes and I help people actually, as we're healing up, like they just start making more money. They start getting into better relationships. They start being more cautious or more conscious actually of their spending. So I want to make sure that that's the message that comes across. I want you to be in control of every aspect of your life. And the reason why I want to bring up this particular subject is because some people think they have to make do with what they have. And then what ends up happening is that we become bitter or upset or whatever because we don't have enough. And people are living paycheck to paycheck and they're like, I'm doing the best that I can. And I totally get all of that. But I'm going to just kind of bring a fresh perspective into how you can help organize your finances. And take notes. This is going to be very important. Take notes. It's super simple. I think that as humans, what we do is we tend to complicate things. And when something comes around that's a little easier, it's kind of hard to believe. So we just kind of complicate it, So like, oh, just do this. It's like, oh no, you sure? See, I honestly think it's a mental thing because we are taught, unfortunately, about scarcity mentality. And many of us kind of go around in circles trying to figure out how to make better choices, but there really isn't a plan in place. So somebody could be like, you really need to be more careful with your money. Oh, okay. How do I do that? And there's a lot of places or things and books that will teach you different ways of doing it. So we're going to keep it pretty basic tonight. Before we start, cleaning out the wallet is super important. Both you guys and girls, your purses, your wallets, your bags that you tend to put either receipts in, wherever you hold your cash, your credit cards, your ATM, whatever. So anything that consists of your wallet or anywhere you would store things like receipts. Okay, so wherever those things are, we're going to start consolidating. We're going to start with cleaning it out. Some people have asked what they do with like leftover stuff they find as they're decluttering. So I want to answer that before we get any further because we're going to develop a system for you guys to make sure that your decluttering and the structures that you put in place are sustainable. So I don't know, maybe we'll start an accountability of like, how are you doing this week? Did you get to everything? And at the end of the series, I'm going to share like a room cleaning and maintenance plan that I've come up with. It's a simple little, outline that I've typed up, and just so it's not so overwhelming. A lot of you right now that are decluttering, I know you want to like start on your closet and like go and clean your kids' closet too. And maybe your husband's not helping or your wife isn't helping and you're becoming overwhelmed. Focus on you first. It's very difficult for people to kind of jump on the bandwagon, especially if they're feeling pressure to do it. So just because one of us is being called to do it, it doesn't mean that the other people in the home are going to be called to do it as well. So let's allow them to have their timing. And just declutter you. If you share a space with somebody, focus on your stuff, maybe kind of arrange it so you have your own section. Kids want to get involved. I find with families, like whenever the parents are doing something, the kids want to get involved and they actually do want to be a part of this. So it's hard to kind of teach them as we're learning. So go ahead and take this time to learn for yourself first And then you can, depending on your kid's personality and your spouse's personality, you'll be able to help them because you would have already gone through it. One, you would have set the example. You would have understood the emotions that come with it. So you'll tend to be more compassionate when somebody else goes through it because you already experienced it. So it's not to say that I want you not to worry about them. I just want you to give them their time and their space and allow yourself to go through the process, because when they're falling apart, emotional or stressed out, you'll be able to relate to that and come to them a little differently than if you're trying to work with somebody and like get everything done at the same time. So there's a lot of mood swings that come along with this experience, as you guys, because I'm sure, attest to. So just want to put that out there because I know a lot of people might be struggling with, anybody else who lives in the home, and there could have what I notice is sometimes there's a lot of anger that comes up. So I want you to honor whatever emotion you're feeling as you're decluttering, as you're cleaning, as you're healing up your space. And also, again, we're getting ready to receive new stuff. Like there's people already that are benefiting from this. I'm getting messages like, I don't know what happened. Like my husband didn't even listen to your message, but I came home what they wanted to clean and he had already started. It's really weird. Another person shared that before I even started the series, her daughter was like, I need to start decluttering. And so she was kind of excited to know that I was going to start like this. She was, oh my gosh, it felt like my kid already knew that we were going to start decluttering or whatever. So you'd be surprised what happens when you set the intention before you start a project, because everything or anything that may become an obstacle that you may be exposed to tends to kind of work itself out, right? So be careful of what the energy is that you're putting into these particular projects. We could get mad at the things that we're organizing, but they didn't get that way by themselves. So be responsible, acknowledge what's going on, become aware of how it happened. Like a lot of you take a little bit longer than others. That's okay. It didn't take a day for it to clutter up the way it did. So be graceful, be compassionate, take your time, and please reach out because sometimes we get stuck and that's okay. All right, back to our finances. There's quite a few simple steps that I want to share with you guys, okay? The first thing that you're going to do is write down your monthly expenses. And when I say that, people tend to just write down like car payment, mortgage, insurance, their rent, whatever, like the stuff that we know our money goes to. But I want you to, after you write those things down, kind of sit and say, what else do I spend money on a monthly basis? So again, it's not to get anybody in trouble or to point the finger, but if you find yourself shopping, maybe necessary or unnecessary things, write it down, right? This is kind of like truth or dare, like just let it all expose, put all the cards on the table so you know what you're working with. So it does you no good to like not put those things down because no one's going to see it but you. But the minute you have it written down, now you're aware of what it is that's taking place. So when you tally up these monthly things that are like bigger or more more priority, let's say, you're like, I don't understand why I don't have money. Like these are all the bills and I pay them or whatever. So be very cautious, very conscious about where your money is going. Money is just like, time. If you have 24 hours in the day and you don't know where it goes, it's kind of like, I have no time. But when I help organize people and we go through the motions of it, it literally is like Christmas when it comes to time, because all of a sudden you're finding all this extra time you didn't have once you write down the awareness. So I have like a 24-hour sheet and a sheet that has the 24 hours in the day. And I tell people, write out what you're doing as the best that you can in the time frame that this shows. And write down when you sleep, when you wake up, when you go to work, whatever. And then all of a sudden there's just brackets of empty space. And we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So then we come together and develop a plan. So with finances, if you're shopping, again, with things that you need, and then I'm going to challenge you to really ask yourself, do you really need it? Or is it something you're just spending money on? And the reason why I want you guys to be very upfront with yourself is because at the end of the month, when you don't have the finances you wish you had, it becomes a beat up session. So the goal for this is for you to become more proactive instead of like being mad every month and then getting stuck in this pattern where you're doing it every single month. So I don't want it to be a subconscious programming that you just do it and don't know where your money goes. I want you to know where it's at, where it's going, be responsible, accept whatever choices that you made, and then ask yourself, what am I going to do differently this time? Okay, so we're going to talk about shopping, eating out. Okay, so eating out and groceries are two different things. So eating out because we're tired, because it's easier, because I don't feel like it. I don't really care what the reason is. Write down, I want you to go back in your last month's statement or however you can view your finances, your expenses. And I want you to go, just do 30 days for now. Okay, you're going to be curious and I'm going back later on, but I want you guys to just do 30 days. So go like to the beginning of November. And yes, there was a holiday, all that good stuff, whatever. It doesn't matter. I still want you to take a look at those finances. And I want you to write down every time that you ate out. I don't care if it was McDonald's, if you went to like Red Lobster, Olive Garden, whatever, just write it down. No judgment, you guys. You're literally making an assessment of where your finances are. That's all you're doing. And we're going to just keep it pretty simple, okay? So you will feel a little overwhelmed. You will have an idea of like, oh my gosh, we've spent this much on food. Again, awareness. But write everything down. Be completely honest with yourself. If you need to have your partner, your spouse, or whatever involved, that's great. If not, you want to do it by yourself, you can also do it too. So you pick and choose how you're comfortable. Maybe you want to do it for yourself and then share it with your partner or whatever the case is. But take care of it on your own. I also want you to think about how much money and write down how you're spending on entertainment. Like, I'm all about everybody having a good old time. But if we're going out and spending money on not needless, because we all need money for entertainment, but if you find like, I work so hard, I deserve this, and you're kind of getting in the cycle of spending your money, and then again, later on beating yourself up, then there's a problem. If you're spending money and then you're not worried about it at the end of the month and you're good and you still are not living paycheck to paycheck, go for it. What does your savings account look like though? Okay, so little things like that, I'm going to challenge you because the brain sometimes does put things in compartments or just kind of has it all out. So your job is to organize your thoughts, organize your finances. And I love to put them like in little sections because it doesn't make it feel so overwhelming. So you're going to look at your bank statement and write down those things to start with. Okay, so we're talking monthly expensive, whatever you have on like auto pay, all that good stuff, whatever. You're going to write down whatever you're shopping, spending money on, whether it's clothes, whether it's whatever you're shopping for. I want you to write it down. Eating out is a huge topic that we need to literally figure out the amount that's being spent in that bracket. Entertainment, whatever it is, clubs, movies, whatever it is, just write it down, you guys. So anything that you see on that statement that you can consider, entertainment, we went to visit family and we took extra food, whatever. So that's what it's going to look like. Now, when you're doing your monthly, most people have an idea of how much you spend on groceries. And let's say gas, right? If you don't, go back and look at your statement. So grab the category gas, and then I want you to also grab the category of, I just lost my train of thought that quick because I looked down. Gas and groceries. There we go. So gas and groceries are super important. So of course, everybody needs gas and everybody needs groceries. The next thing I'm going to challenge you to look at is, are you actually cooking or eating your groceries? Because what I find with a lot of people, and I was doing this too, and there's sometimes I'm guilty of it as well, guys, still. But I have the awareness of like buying, a bunch of groceries and then at the end of the day, not really eating them all. And then I find that I was throwing food away and it hurt my heart. I did not want it to happen. And I promised myself I wouldn't do it again. And it just happens. I know that I've become more aware and I do less of it as time has gone because I'm honestly wanting to learn from it. And it's not perfect, you guys. But if you're throwing away, 25% of the food that you're purchasing and you can maybe shoot it to like 5%, right? Well, then shoot, it's better than what you were, where you were at, but it's because you did the work to kind of, be okay with understanding like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of like lacking some discipline in this area. So we're going to do that. Later on, we're going to talk about meal planning because sometimes we buy a bunch of groceries and we don't even know why we're getting it. We're just kind of used to buying it. And then like you have something to make a certain meal, but you don't have something else. I always like to talk to people about pretending in your home that you're Iron Chef America. And the reason why I share that is because many times we have ingredients that are sitting like in, the kitchen, in the pantry, in our freezer, in our refrigerator. They're sitting in different places and you notice we buy groceries and just kind of pile them on top. So I talk to families about meal planning and that really does bring your family together. It helps to become a little more creative and it has just a whole bunch of benefits. So in this show, there were these chefs, right? 2 or 3 chefs, and they had no idea what they were going to cook. It was like a secret ingredient. So obviously they had their side stuff, whatever it was. But they had to make 2 or 3, 4, maybe 4 dishes with this particular ingredient. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. What if as a family, everybody had to join together and say, we're not going grocery shopping for the next week. Make it a game. Have fun with it. Even if you live by yourself, it's still fun. And look at your freezer, refrigerator, and pantry. Look at your cupboards, all that good stuff, whatever, and say, what kind of meal can I prepare with what I already have? And challenge yourself to be creative. Like, it's not scarcity. It's more like be responsible with what you have. Because in reference to like money, right? If you're not responsible with $1,000, how would you receive 10,000? Right? So it goes back to like making space, receiving new, be responsible with the $100. And once you're responsible with that, you'll find that you're going to attract more and more. But if you have this bottomless pit where you could make the money, but somehow you can't hold on to it, and that also could be energetic, you guys. There's a lot of trauma when it comes to holding on to money. We have meridians in our body and chakras that literally align with finances. So one, let's say, helps you bring in the money, and the other one is to literally let go of it. And if they're not balanced, you'll find that you could make money, and then like you'll go back and say, why can't I hold on to it? So it can actually be an energetic thing, definitely a belief system, also energetic. So there is ways of actually tackling it. This would be step 1. Okay, so I have had families that have made up such creative plates, and the kids have so much fun because it's a challenge, and the mom doesn't have to feel so pressured, or dad or whoever prepares the meals, to come up with the meal plan. Because what they do is they look at all the ingredients and everybody comes up with something. And I have like a little template where it's a meal plan, and you pretty much write down like all the meals you and your family come up with based on the ingredients you already have. So that's great when you're starting and you're trying to get creative. And I'll tell you that I've made some of the yummiest meals playing that game myself. So I really want to encourage you guys to try that. I promise you won't regret it. It is going to tap into the creative forces that maybe have been lying dormant. So I want to share that with you guys. Okay, so now maintenance. After you're done with everything you have in your pantry and your fridge and your freezer, and like really you run out of ingredients and you really can't do anything else with what you have, and I'll let you be the judge of that, but be honest with yourself. Then now you create a maintenance for that. So instead of just grocery shopping for everything and anything under the sun, you sit with your family and say, what would we like to cook this week? Everybody come up with ideas. You check in with yourself and see what you want to cook. And then you look at the actual meals that you're wanting to create. And now you create a shopping list based on, guess what? The meals you have. So you'll find yourself not overspending. You'll find yourself buying the things that you're actually going to need. And you're not worried about what you're going to prep or stressed or whatever, because if everybody's pretty much involved, or if you know what you're doing, it's not so cluttered anymore. It's not so much like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to run, and I'm tired and I got to spend this money. And, you know, it's funny because I talk about how like sometimes people go and buy groceries, like just because they just go buy whatever. And then like guilty, right? Costco, I buy all this healthy organic food, and oh my gosh, and I'm ready to buy way too much food. And then I'm like, ooh, I work so hard shopping, let me get a pizza and take it home, right? All of us have at one point or another have done that or been tempted to. And it's okay. But right now, when we're talking about awareness, really being responsible with the things that, you're purchasing and things of that nature, just be cautious and conscious. And the reason why I say both is because I want you to be careful, but I don't want you to be afraid of engaging, right? So the consciousness just becomes like, how do I do this now? I don't want you to do it for a week and then not know how to do it. That's why I like to share maintenance, so you guys can keep it going. So if you create this meal plan, every week, every month, or whenever you decide, you're literally going, and I promise you, you're going to end up spending less money because, again, you're being conscious of what you actually need. So if you're going to design a pasta or whatever, you know how much to buy, you know how many sauces, and now you don't have a cupboard full of a bunch of stuff. You keep saying you don't have anything to eat, and there's this pantry saying, hello, there's a bunch of stuff here. So that is a tip and trick to make sure that you guys, are, preserving the finances that you have. And instead of being overwhelmed by the money that's going out after you jot these things down, like I am a firm believer that there's a fix for everything. There is a fix for everything. And it's just, sometimes we just need the knowledge, right? The awareness. And honestly, these systems have been super helpful for myself and for other people. So I wanted to share those with you today. While you're assessing your finances, while you're organizing the things that you want to stop doing, and then welcome in the new things, the new habits, the new ways of being, right? To feel more abundant. And you'll see that money starts stacking up because you're being responsible with it, because it's organized, it's not cluttered. And this is why I came back to like the wallet, the purse or whatever. Sometimes it's filled with so much stuff, right? And we want to energetically attract more finances. So what I always recommend is for you to keep cash in your wallet and in your purse, right? And the goal is to not touch it. One, you'll never be able to say I'm broke because you have cash in there. Also, energy attracts the other one. So if you have cash in there, and every time you go to open your wallet or your purse, you see cash, you always feel abundant. You're never in lack. So that's an energetic thing as well. So I don't care if you put $1 in there, 5, 6, 10 or whatever, and just add as you go if you feel the need to. But there's something about the mind, the eyes, the brain seeing money, and then all of a sudden we're not in scarcity anymore. So try it and let me know how it works, okay? Super excited to hear how that's going on. All right, I think I covered everything. I had things written down. Okay, actually no, this is kind of like the monthly. Sorry, we still have a couple more brackets to go, but that was kind of the one that had the most information. Okay, so after you're looking at your monthly expenses and you have all that written down, take a deep breath. We're gonna figure it out, you guys. I promise you, we're not gonna, and one thing I never do is I never dig things up for you to look at, whether it be your trauma, your memories, whatever, and not teach you how to heal it up or fix it, right? So if I go there, I promise you that I have resources, and all you have to do is actually play the part. You have to do the work. So I will excavate, we'll bring things up, I'll give you tips, tricks, and tools, all that good stuff, whatever, and it's up to you. If you really want changes to happen, you guys, we talked about those daily habits, right? You have to make it work. If not, like, you're not going to get a different result. So if this resonates and aligns with where you are and what you've been wanting to do, yay, Merry Christmas, right? Okay, after you do that, you're going to write down a list of your debt. Credit cards, loans, mortgage, whether it's a car, whether it's a school loan, whatever it is, I want you to write that down. So it's going to kind of be a sheet of paper, and you can put columns to kind of help your brain say this, this, and this. You can write it on the same page or however you want, but the next bracket's going to be your debt. And don't let it scare you. Awareness, right? So how much do you owe on your credit cards? And write down each individual credit card. So write all your credit cards down, make those phone calls, go online, and say, okay, this credit card is this much, this is this much, this is that much, right? And once you have all your debt there, write down the total on the bottom. That's all you're gonna do. Then I want you to, as you're figuring out what this debt is, I want you to write down the due dates for each one and the minimum payment, okay? I know that if you just make your minimum payments on, whatever credit cards, the interest kicks your butt later. But right now it's about awareness. I can teach you later on a more advanced way to pay off your debt. Right now, I just want you to be aware, and then these are the just basic steps because we got to start somewhere, okay? So once you've written down all your debt, I want you to write down your income. Your own income, anybody else that's contributing to the house, like write down all that income, figure out, and just kind of start looking at the numbers, right? Again, it's not meant to overwhelm you. It's meant for you to have an awareness of where you are, what you need to do, and then you're going to develop a plan. Some people wait like, oh, I get paid on Friday. I don't get paid till Wednesday. So I know that many of you are sick and tired of thinking that way. So what we're going to do is look at it as a whole. This is my monthly. And when I get a check this particular day on the 15th, how do I have to distribute it so I have money every single day? Okay. So there are ways. Some people say, well, everything's due on the 1st or the 15th. You know what? Here you are. You can actually call your creditors and change your due dates. Did you guys know that? Yeah. So if you guys have credit cards that are due on certain days, or your mortgage, or your car, whatever, you can actually call your creditors and change dates. This is why awareness is so important, you guys. I also go as far as like jumping on Google and printing out, like, let's say January calendar a day of January, you can pick one up at the 99 cents or if you have every month, and write down on the calendar when each bill is due and figure out how to balance it, you guys, because you can literally do that as you're finding ways of attaining your money and holding on to it. You're going to get to the point where you could do automatic pay, because some people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know if the money's going to be there. Well, if you're being responsible and you're organizing and you're decluttering, the money just goes out with you having to go through the motions of. Also, gratitude is very important, because we can sit there and say, oh my gosh, I have this bill to pay, or my car loan, or my mortgage, or whatever. And I'm going to teach you to swap your perspective. Why? Because gratitude is everything. When you look at what you have to pay, I want to challenge you to think, I'm so lucky that I get to pay for this home that keeps me safe, the roof over my head. Look at that. I have the ceiling pointing for you guys. I'm so happy that I get to pay for the roof over my head. I'm so super grateful that in this cold weather right now on the mountain, I can pay my heating bill, right? Your gas bill. I'm so super grateful that, look, I can have lights on. Right? So when you set those intentions, when you have more gratitude for those things, instead of being upset because you have to pay an electric bill, let me tell you, I've been to countries that don't have electricity. So we grew up, my parents were taking us to Mexico when we were young, and we had to use like an oil lamp. And honestly, it was fun. It was fun. Sometimes we had to go to outdoor bathrooms and all that stuff. So we grew up being super grateful for the things that we had, for the hot water in our shower, right? For being able to flush the toilet. Like those type of things were like, oh my gosh, where we were. And then of course they got more modern and they got electricity and everybody would watch TV. Then it became a little boring. But I share that with you because sometimes we take those things for granted. So as you're paying your bills, you guys, just know that you don't have to have electricity. You don't have to have hot water. You don't have to have your trash service. But let me tell you, it's so convenient. So even though, you may be struggling financially, or you're upset because, they're raising rents, or insurance companies are raising their rates, whatever it is, you guys, gas, right? Oh my gosh, gas is so expensive. Swap it and say, hey, you know what? The cost of gas is going up. I better hurry up and manifest more money. I better make sure that I know that I'm responsible with what I have so the energy can bring more my way. And I cannot tell you what kind of changes that's made in my life and other people that I've had the privilege to work with, because it is all about attitude. And when you have an attitude of gratitude, you guys, everything changes, everything. And at first it's weird because you're not used to it. But this is how you develop new programs, new ways of being. And I want to just challenge you guys to try these things and see what it is that starts changing in your life. If you get stuck, let me know. We can start a series on breaking it down more step by step. But this is kind of like a brief overview, on how to get better control and more awareness about what is happening with your finances. So you could be mad till you're blue in the face and nothing changes. Well, if anything, things get worse. And now you're rushing to a job because you have this debt to pay, and now you're mad because, I can't wait for my paycheck and these coworkers, whatever. You'll see the attitude, because when you're rushing, when you have to get up to go to work to keep up with the money you're chasing, the attitude is totally different. But when you change it, like, I'm so privileged. I remember I really wanted this job. I was so nervous in the interview. This is how much I'm making. What can I do? Maybe once you get a handle of all of this, that you can have a conversation with somebody at work and you can ask for a raise. I mean, that's happened for a lot of people. I had a client at one point, she was due for a raise, or she had gotten a raise, and she was responsible with her finances. She went through the motions. She's doing her healing work, whatever. And I mean, again, it happens to most of my clients where they start making money, but it's not because I do anything. It's because you start learning the value and worth, your attitude changes. Then all of a sudden your frequency changes. So you know you're worth more and you attract more. But this client, I think she had just gotten a raise like maybe 3 or 6 months prior to that. And she's like, oh, they won't give me a raise. And she's talking about the things she's doing, and she's really grateful. I'm like, hey, why don't you just ask? So she did the work again, and she just asked for a raise. And at first they were kind of like, oh, you just got one. Like, I understand, but I have this responsibility. She just kind of started breaking down like what she's already done or whatever. They came back and raised her pay $10 an hour more. I mean, I see this stuff all the time, but I'm like, what? And who would have thought that was even going to happen? Who's going to give you a $10 per hour raise without like a leveling up of a different type of promotion, but just to do the same work she was already doing? So I've seen a lot of things happen, you guys, and I wouldn't share them with you if it wasn't something that would be attainable. And that's just one story. But there's so many more that I can share with you guys. And I can tell you guys to trust the process and just to do what you got to do, but take it one step at a time. I know that this is scary for a lot of people. There's a lot of scarcity and fear, especially if you watch the news, everything going up, the gas, the groceries, everything's going up. That's fine and dandy. Let's not live in fear because we have no control over how high they decide to raise prices. But we do have control over the attitude that we choose to express, the things that we choose to do, our daily habits, how we think, and how we are going to be responsible with what we already have to make sure that we're open to receive more of what we need to obtain the freedom that we need. So money, yeah, everybody needs it, but money is freedom. And if you're tired of feeling like you're in bondage, take the opportunity to really discipline yourself, sit down, become aware of what it looks like, and take actions. Okay? So now you can't say you didn't know what you had to do. I understand the holidays are coming around. That's all fine and dandy. My question to you is it really necessary for you to really put yourself in a position where you are chasing money once again because you need to gift somebody something? Or can you have conversations with people about the changes you're trying to make and the sustainability of a life change that is waiting for you? Something to think about. Love you guys so much. Super enjoy hanging out with you. Please follow up with me. Send me pictures. Let me know how you're doing. I would love to know that this is working for you, that it's impacting your life, or if there's a particular subject you want me to talk about, completely anonymous. Send me a message. Love you guys so much. Have an amazing night, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Actually, tomorrow. Today. Later today. It's 12:03. Good night, guys.